A lot of my friends think this is funny because I used to actually hate Muslims. And I was known as the Muslim hater because I just was really affected by the media, and I was very much into reading like magazines like Marie Claire and Elle magazine, and they always had an article about some poor Muslim woman who'd been beaten up by their husbands in Pakistan or wherever.
On one hand, the media is telling me, like showing us pictures of women being oppressed, people being violent and wars and stuff.
It's the mainstream media's sort of perception.
Absolutely negative. Obviously you have the media stance. You have the cultural stance from my parents.
I used to live in New Zealand, and there weren't many Muslims in New Zealand when I lived there. And I think as a result of that, the media was certainly nothing like we have here in Britain in terms of the anti-Islam feeling.
I had a lot of bigoted ideas and conceptions which were totally alien to Islam.
But what I found out was from all these sources that emanated this negativity towards Islam, they had no appropriate basis.
And I think that was definitely an advantage, because when I started to study Islam, there was no preconceived ideas that I had.
I used to look at all the problems in the world, and every time I switched on the TV there was, a bombing.
The basis was usually an egotistical one.
All the fighting in the world there was Muslims involved.
A hidden agenda one, in terms of like, they agree with something now, let me support you further by rejecting other things.
So I was like associated violence and fighting and corruption all with Islam.
Then on the other hand, I used to see the people at university, and I used to find that they were doing a lot of stuff that Islam didn't permit. But I used to think that, well, that was because Islam's too harsh, that it couldn't deal with people's problems and stuff like this.
I hadn't been approached for a majority of my life about Islam, so I didn't know anything about it.
Something very non-liberal, and Muslims very arrogant, because they thought their religion is the best religion, and they were not willing to take from any other religion.
I had my life, they had theirs.
What I saw was that people were living split personalities, doing things they weren't supposed to be doing, and then going home and then being another person, for their parents, basically.
It didn't relate to me, so therefore it was not worth taking any notice of.
My dad's family, a lot of them live in Iran, so seeing them, I didn't have a very good view of Islam at all.
It was a religion that Asian people followed, and it was something which was very strict on girls.
That's really the only view I had of it, that it was really restrictive, and all it wanted to do was stop you having fun and stop you going out. So I didn't have a very good view of Islam at all.
From the other perspective, I think now that Islam is so much in the media, it's a case that people are rejecting a very biased opinion, and they actually want to go and see what Islam's all about. So there is almost like a backlash in the sense that against this negative media, and they want to understand Islam and actually see what it has to offer.
The Quran was revealed to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, at the age of 40 in the Arabian city of Mecca in the year 610 AD. This was to be a path, a way of life, distinct from all other ways of life. Islam called upon the people of Arabia, who were in the depth of misguidance, backwardness with widespread depraved practices, to believe in the oneness of Allah and the messengership of Muhammad, peace be upon him. To believe that there is a life in the hereafter, and hence to commit one's affairs to Allah. The progress that Islam brought to Arabia was phenomenal. Pre-Islamic Arabia had primitive tribal practices that kept people constantly at war and divided. They held no value for human life, whether it was men, women or children. However, Islam brought about a complete transformation in society, reformed the people and made them into one brotherhood to the point that it eliminated tribal warfare and other forces of divisiveness. This short documentary will attempt to shed some light on why Islam appeals to people of diverse backgrounds. The interviews in the documentary will reveal why people embraced Islam.
I think before I embraced Islam, my viewpoint was like most of the other people in the West.
You know, basically have fun in life.
Which was, you know, get ahead.
Having some kind of status in this life.
Enjoy myself.
Get a good degree.
Have a good career.
Get a good job.
Getting a bit further up the career ladder than my parents.
Make lots of money.
Go to parties and have fun, and meet people and have fun, and go out and have fun. But you find most of the time when you do that, you're just miserable at the end of the night anyway.
And, you know, look after yourself or look after number one.
In terms of belief, I didn't really believe in anything. I didn't have any religion that I followed. My dad's Shia Muslim, but he doesn't practice, and my mum is from Scotland. She doesn't practice. She's Christian, but she doesn't practice either.
My life was a bit messed up here. Talking about my life, like, for the first 2 years of my life, I lived with my mum and my dad, and my dad left my mum when I was 2 years old.
It's not as easy just to say, oh, I want a happy life, because life throws tests at you all the time.
My dad left my mum because he's gay.
But when I came across